welcome to the first edition of Economics with EPW. I'm Sunipa Dasgupta. I'm the Senior Assistant Editor with EPW and I look at their economic articles. Today we are going to talk about our budget special issue for this year. Well, if somebody asks me that why EPW brings out a budget special, I can't say, probably because we are the economic and political weekly. But one thing I can say is that EPW's budget special issues have been valued for two reasons. First and most obviously because the contributors to these issues have been largely luminary academics and economists. And secondly, what I find most interesting is that these issues provide space for an interesting amalgamation of intellectual interpretation of dry economic facts, and that is what makes these issues engaging reads for most of our readers, like even a layperson. India's longest budget document ever produced till date has barely gone beyond being a run of the mill statement. Let us take, for example, the commentary by Sudipto Mandal and Ajay Shahu. It shows how the predominant assumption within the government about the absence of an additional fiscal space had underscored the lack of fiscal stimulus for reviving the demand side of the economy. And the authors have estimated that how fiscal rationalization could have released at least 4% of the GDP, which could have gone to uh, say income support programs, labor intensive infrastructure projects, or sectors like health and education. So Govind Rao's analysis of the budget provisions for the change of the tax system, for example, it also resonates with the similar kind of concerns about fiscal conservatism. What Rao finds disappointing about the tax policy is the return to protectionism, and this is in line with an import substituting policy which has come in the being in the name of Make in India. And this theme is further expanded in Vishwajit Dhar's analysis of the trade policies that were put forward in the budget. The predominance of import restricting measures like increased tariff protections or tightening of the framework for tariff and import regulation, etc., this actually take away from the fact that the stagnation of exports have also been one of the reasons of India's trade deficits. And on top of that, the budgeted export subsidies are likely to lead to a revenue loss which would be about 11% higher than what it is in the current year. Again, we have this interesting article by KP Kannan where he is arguing that it is the very lack of recognition of the fact that there has been an economic slowdown by the government which is making this budget insensitive towards core economic issues like negative rate of growth of employment or the declining rural consumption. Ashok Gulati's commentary, which looks at the budgeting the provisions for the agricultural sector, it points out to the fact that the 6-point action plan that the government has laid down in the budget is again prioritizing safety nets and subsidies over agricultural investment. But more worrisome is the fact that despite of putting safety nets and subsidies upfront, the budgetary outlays which are earmarked for these heads have not improved substantially in this budget. Now, this issue has also got two very incisive pieces which are looking at the proposals for the financial sector, which is currently the hotbed of all economic discussions going on in the country. And I think the readers may find it very intriguing to read Partha Ray and Partha Pratim Paul's piece on the budgetary proposals for the financial sector, which make a very interesting referential usage of this novel Love at the Time of the Cholera. Now, here the authors are trying to say that the various financial schemes that this budget has proposed for the financial sector are almost like the love letters of the government to this sector per se, or the economy in general. But these love letters barely do anything to cure the actual disease from which the economy is suffering. At the same time, these also create a sense of optimism which keep coexisting with the prevalence of the physical disease. Now, in this continuum, I would like to mention Lekha Chakravarti's discussion, which looks at the invocation of the escape clause of the Financial Responsibility and the Budget Management Act 2018. This commentary throws light on a very queer ambiguity. So, here's the escape clause, which allows for a flexible upper bound of the fiscal deficit GDP ratio under special circumstances. And people might say that it becomes inevitable in a situation where the economy is going through a slowdown and we need to stimulate the economy. But Chakravarti has very correctly pointed out to a question that why is this escape clause being invoked at this time? Is it to revive the capital formation of the economy, or is it to meet up that huge gap in tax projections and tax receipts? Now, in this in this aspect, I would again go back to Govind Rao's arguments, where he says that an unreal or optimistic tax revenue estimate can be very dangerous for the economy on three grounds. First, it may result in tax terrorism. Second, it can lead to poor budget management. And third, it would have adverse impact on the state of finance of the states. Given this, we expect that this year's budget issue would leave our readers to probe into some fundamental questions uh, which are difficult and uncomfortable, such as why a government seeking for fiscal consolidation would not explore policies for expenditure retrenchment or for fiscal rationalization. What is the credibility of a budget which is based on bullish revenue projections, or more importantly, what is the credibility of a budget that ignores, undermines, or even refutes evidences? So with that, we hope that, like all other years, this year's budget special issue will also be appreciated by our readers, and it will play a critical role in taking this whole economic debate on contemporary issues forward in a more constructive manner. And we would look forward to your feedback on this. So if you enjoy this video, please like, promote, and subscribe to EPW.